Now the chair recognizes Dr. Babin for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. And thank you, all you expert witnesses, for being here as well. Dr. Goodman, do IRIS assessments integrate all lines of evidence, including potential adverse health effects to humans?
I think the goal of IRIS assessments is certainly to do that. And they do attempt to consider epidemiology, toxicology, mode of action, mechanistic evidence. But in practice, sometimes relevant evidence is missed, or in other times, the evidence is all there, but it's not evaluated in a systematic manner, meaning that not all studies are created equal. Some are more robust, they have more strengths, others have more limitations. Just as an example, sometimes in epidemiology, it's very difficult to estimate exposure, and some studies do a better job than others at coming up with good exposure measurements. So I think that that can sometimes be an issue with IRIS assessments.
Okay, and then do IRIS assessments include any consideration of actual human exposures or make any determination of the actual human risk?
I believe that IRIS, the goal of the IRIS assessment is really to conduct a hazard assessment, and then once that assessment is done, it can then be used to evaluate risk based on human uses of chemicals and exposures.
Okay, does the Tosca program consider human exposure?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And also, is it true that other chemical assessment agencies like the World Health Organization recognize a safe threshold for formaldehyde exposure when they establish values for long-term exposure to formaldehyde?
Yes, I believe the World Health Organization has acknowledged that the key mechanism for formaldehyde in causing cancer is through cytotoxicity and cell proliferation. And that specific mechanism has a threshold. And what that means is there's an exposure level below which the body can actually handle exposures to formaldehyde, and this won't happen.
Okay, well then, would you elaborate just a little bit on the importance of setting these safe threshold values?
Well, I think the idea is the goal of all of these programs is to determine what safe levels are, or what levels below which we can be confident that there isn't an increased risk for adverse effects on human health. And so we need that based on the best available science. And if the science suggests that a mechanism of cancer or any other health effect has a threshold, has a level below which there is no increased risk, that needs to be incorporated in an assessment.
I see. And Ms. Subra, you had mentioned, are you from Louisiana, by the way? Are you from Louisiana? Did I hear you say you had some studies and Natchitoches and
Right.
areas? Okay. What did you hear my last question? Were you would you like to elaborate on it as well?
Could you repeat his question?
Yes. Okay. The importance of setting safe formaldehyde threshold values for anything, but we're talking about formaldehyde here. If you would elaborate on that as well, and because I know that you've had a lot of experience with this.
Right. So based on the citizens' complaints, we did air sampling and found that formaldehyde was the chemical present in the largest quantity in the ambient air around the facility where these people lived. And then being able to coordinate that back to the resins that were used by the facility, that was the source of those emissions. And then we worked with the facility to get those resins replaced. And as a result, the formaldehyde in the air was non-detect once they changed the resin they were using. So the health impacts to the community improved tremendously based on removing that source of pollution.
Okay, thank you. And I yield back, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.